Alright, this is the second video in my series of survival videos that I'm going to be calling Master of Resources. It's basically how to utilize your resources and make the best use of them in a survival type of situation. Now, what I'm going to cover here are some more basic pieces of equipment. A lot of people don't like to talk about it, but toilet paper is one of the most valuable things you can have out in the bush, especially if you have women with you. They're going to want this. And you're also going to want nice little spots that you can go in. Food. Let's cover food. There's some emergency foods that you can take that are really easy. Some things like beef jerky and Slim Jims are really lightweight and they last a long time. You can fit them in small locations and little small spots in your gear, your pack, and they can actually provide you with enough nutrients to make it through. Jolly Ranchers, any type of hard candy, but Jolly Ranchers have a lot of flavor for the amount that they take, amount of space that they take up in the weight. Chewing gum is really good, especially after you eat. You don't have a bathroom out there where you can brush your teeth every time. Now let's cover some drinks here, or a drink. I like to take these Gatorade things. Now this is the low-calorie one. I tried this because it's smaller. It doesn't have sugar in it. It has something else in it. It doesn't taste nearly as good as the sugar, but those come in a bigger container. I prefer those, and Gatorade works much better than any of the other sports drinks I've ever tried. Alright, a couple more food items that you can take. Ramen noodles. Everyone knows what these are. They come in a few different flavors. They're very cheap. You can add things to these while you're out in the bush. You can add like beef jerky, and you can add dehydrated veggies that you can put in little small Ziplocs, take them out with you, things like that. Or you can find some natural vegetation that you can add to it if you know what you're doing. Now this is pretty good right here. I can't even read that. I don't know what it is, but basically it's pork flavored rice. It's very thin. You can cook this if you have the means of cooking it. And if you can cook some ramen noodles, you can cook that. Hot cocoa is good. Any type of these drink mixes, like the ones that come in MREs and things like that, work really well. Another thing about food is you should carry some fishing line with you. You can make a fishing pole. There are many different ways of making fishing gear, and I'm going to show you some of those ways in future videos. But carry some fishing line with you. You can use these for several different things, mainly for fishing though. I like to focus on fire. Now fire is extremely important out in the bush. Okay. Now I carry a lighter. I don't even have my lighter on me. It's in the room. But I also carry this torch. It's a refillable torch that I bought for I think $9 at a convenience store, and I use this to start my homemade fire starters that I'm going to go over how to make later. The fire starters I make out of dryer lint. I wrap the dryer lint around a piece of catfish line, and I only make them about this long, and then I have a little bit of catfish line sticking out, and then I wrap it in a paper towel, and then I dip that in candle wax so it completely seals it. Now they're a little hard to light, but once you get them started, they will start the whole fire. Most of the time that I start a fire out in the woods, it's with a standard lighter because I know how to build a fire, and I'll go over that in a future video as well. There's definitely a technique and an art to building fires. Now I carry magnesium fire starter with a flint rod right there. Now what you do is you can strike this, and it comes with a little dinky piece of hacksaw blade, and basically what you do is you scrape off some of the magnesium into a powder. This won't burn in block form. You have to have it in powder form, otherwise it won't light. And then you just strike it with the striker. Now the striker comes in handy for more than just lighting the magnesium. You can light all types of things with the striker. You can light what says charcloth. Now basically what charcloth is, if you don't know, It's a little messy too. But you take 100% cotton, anything that's 100% cotton, and it can't be 50%, it has to be 100% cotton. Then you take a metal container, this is just an old mink oil container, I poked a hole in it, it has to have a hole in it. And I've got some fire affecting devices in here that I made. I'll show you what those are in a minute. But you put a little piece of the cloth in here and you just shove them all up in there. And you light a fire and you put this right by the fire or over the fire, and it'll heat this up to where the gases start escaping, and the gases will probably light. It'll be like a just giant candle coming out of here, this flame. Once that flame goes out, then this is ready to take off the fire. Take it off, you turn it over. You want this hole to not have access to air at that point, otherwise your charcloth is going to burn up inside the can. You want to deprive it of oxygen, so you flip it over onto the ground and you let it cool off. Once it's completely cool, you open it up and you end up with charcloth. What this charcloth does is it will take an ember from a spark and it'll hold that ember for a long time. I'm not going to show you because we're indoors. I will show you in a future video how to light a fire from charcloth and the different ways you can get that spark going. You can use flint and steel, you can use flint and steel. The other thing that you can use with this is your knife. Now this is 440C, it's not even high carbon, and it still strikes on that. Interesting, huh? They don't tell you that in survival school. And basically I got it in one of these, this is a bicycle slime patch repair kit. So it has the little slime patches, you can repair holes in your bicycle inner tubes, and that's what that package is right there. Now inside of this case, what I made was I took some of those tea candles, and this one's open so it doesn't have a cover, you can see. I took corrugated cardboard, I emptied out all of the wax. Basically I burn the candle. When I use them, when I'm done with it, I empty it out, and then I'll take cardboard and I'll roll it up inside there real tight, not super tight, you want some breathing room, and then I'll take another candle and I'll pour wax in there and cover it with wax. And basically what you do is you light this. It takes a minute to light it because you have to find a little spot and kind of rough it up and process that one spot so you can get it lit. Once you get it lit, it burns for a long time. It burns long enough to cook something with if you have a small enough container. If you have a large container, obviously it's not going to cook it, but it creates a lot of soot, so you don't want to be indoors when you're using these. But if you cover them up, you can put these anywhere. You can put that in your pocket. I could put this in my mouth, keep it in my cheek. I wouldn't, but you could. That's how small it is. And 4 of them fit really nicely into a full-size mink oil container or shoe polish container. I like mink oil because you can use them on any color stuff. You can use it on your leather, on your vinyl, on a lot of different things. You can use it to light a fire. You can use it to moisturize your skin. It's mink oil. Very good thing. And of course, a candle is always nice to bring with you. A candle with a lighter is pretty much surefire. That's what Dave Canterbury calls it. Dave Canterbury from the Pathfinder School and Wilderness Outfitters. And he's one of my biggest inspirations. But candle is good to have. Now these are 2 of the what they call buddy burners, those corrugated cardboard with the handle wax in them. I use tuna fish cans for these, and they're just facing down and covered with duct tape. I just take the duct tape off now. I have 2 of them. You can use all types of cans. You can use potted meat cans and put 2 of them. I did that before. You can use beanie weenie cans. You can use all types of stuff. This little camel Snus container, I duct taped one in so it wouldn't come apart. I usually keep my fire starters in here, but I'm out of them at the moment. I have to make some more. I've got some paper towel material, and I've got some more there's one left in there. Alright, there is one of my fire starters that I was telling you about. This is pretty much waterproof because I dipped it in candle wax, so I poured candle wax all over it. And basically what you do is you got to rough it up. You can't just light this. It's not going to just light. You have to rough up this part and process it, get it exposed, and then you can light it. And I like to use the torch to light it because the lighter takes a little bit of time. This is just a candle wick. I need to char the end of it. If you char the end of it, you can strike a spark and it'll hold the spark as well. You can actually light a pipe off of it and a fire and things like that. And I keep a couple of those candle wicks around. Keep a little beef jerky chew container here for tinder, and I'm out of tinder, and one for charcloth, and there's some charcoal, and there's some charcoal in there. You can use charcoal for making pine pitch glue. Pine pitch, I don't have my container here, but I've got some pine pitch in a little Altoids container. You want it in a metal container so you can melt it in that container. Basically, you take some pine pitch off the side of a pine tree and mix it with some crushed charcoal and either some sawdust or some dried scat. I have a problem with mixing that with scat because generally what you're using this for is to have like arrowheads and things like that that are going to be going into your food. I just don't want scat going into anything I'm going to be eating. It's just not me. Alright, that's the end of this video. Oh, yeah, that's the end of this video. I'm going to cover some more in a moment.